Dear students, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Flowing from the vision of Awam Pakistan, the think tank had prepared a position paper on women development, which I'm pleased to present to you today. It is a paper on which we invite feedback from all of you. It will be uploaded on the website, and we hope that with your feedback, we will be able to improve it and steer the course towards women development. On the 11th of September, on the Qaid's death anniversary, which passed almost unnoticed amongst the political turmoil, there was a small silver lining. There was a second woman foreign secretary who took office. Small because only 5% of the women are in bureaucracy. And as has been said before me, half the people in this country are women, and there are more than 2/3 below the age of 30. This is also indicative of what has been said earlier, the ranking, where we stand, where Pakistan stands in the global gender gap ranking, the Human Development Index, and the Rule of Law Index. We are not doing very well. In Pakistan, only 1/4 of the women who are a working age population are in the labor force, 6% in senior management, and only 3% own agricultural land and equipment. More than 1/4 of women suffer physical violence, 6% sexual violence, 90% suffer harassment in their workplace, and we are 6th where marriage of girls under 18 is concerned. And these are just reported figures. The reality, I'm sure, is much more grim. We keep hearing, and the Awam Pakistan party keeps saying, that 26 million children out of school, and almost 2/3 are women, which translates into about 15.6 million girls out of school. Similarly, 22 million youth who are neither in education, nor employment, nor training. From them, again, almost 2/3 are women. If you put these together, this is about 28.9 million girls and women who really have a very bleak future, who are not contributing to this country. This is larger than the entire population of Sri Lanka, which is 22 million. And 800 women die every day in childbirth. So why are we talking of women development? There is enough empirical evidence to suggest that women equality, especially in employment and education, boosts economic growth. And countries like Japan, China, South Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia have proved that. Womenomics, a term that has been coined somewhere else but launched by the Japanese Prime Minister, within 3 years they saw dividends when they introduced women in the labor force. There's also a report by the IMF that GDP can be boosted by 30% if women are given a chance and are encouraged to join the labor force. So what we will do today, very briefly, because this is a huge report already, is present the goals, the targets, the challenges, and the way forward. For the strategies, or at least some of the strategies, you will have to visit the report, which will be uploaded on the website. And we hope that you will come up with more strategies and with more critique of the report so that we can improve it. So the overall objective, not just of Awam Pakistan, but should be of everybody in this room and all the political parties, is Khushhal Pakistan. And for that, we have 4 aspirational goals: economic uplift, decision-making, representation of women in decision-making, social inclusion, by here we mean education and health, and access to security and justice. And for that, we know that in addition to the 24% women in the labor force, they are skilled, unskilled, and semi-skilled workers. And our target is that within 10 years, we should raise these women to 12 million, which will mean we will have 50% women in the labor force, equal almost to what the global average is, which is 53%. How we intend to do that? Get 500,000 women in the small and medium enterprise sector, including IT. Also get 5 million in the cottage industry and link them to markets. And 2 million women who are sitting at home, qualified, but not participating in the economy should be brought into the economy. We also intend raising wage-based women by about 3 million. But the issues here are of mobility. How do women get to the place of work, how safe they are, whether they have childcare facilities in their place of work, whether they have a safe working environment, and whether they are trained to improve themselves and to be raised into management roles. 2/3 of our women working are in the agricultural sector. And as you can see, they do all the backbreaking work without being paid and without their work being recognized. What we want to do is support them, bring in new initiatives, increase their incomes by including them in the value chain for agro-based and food processing industry. There is a lot of demand internationally, both for caregivers, especially for the elderly in many countries, and we intend to have, or we propose we should have, an international placement job center where these women will have a chance to go. Financial literacy, financial inclusion, and digital inclusion are also other sectors where we need to work. Only 3% women have access to formal financial institutions. The gig economy. We need to support women to increase their incomes while they sit at home, and they can do part-time work, looking after their children and homes. As I mentioned earlier, there are 15.8 million girls out of school, which is a huge number. So what we propose, at least to start with, we bring 2 million out-of-school girls into productive skills, because the girls of today are going to be the women of tomorrow within 5 years, and we need to make them productive. But there can be no progress if we do not have women in decision-making positions. In the household, there is empirical evidence again to suggest that women who are economically empowered can contribute to, can be involved in decision-making. But for the economic uplift at a national level, it is really the high houses of parliament that decide. The complexion of the parliaments now, unfortunately, there is more landed aristocracy, there are people from the religious groups, and this complexion of people is not very conducive to focusing on issues of women. Also, the women that are come in on reserved seats follow the same dynastic political systems. We propose, at least for starters, have 33% in all houses, although the UN recommends the 40-40-20 formula, 40 men, 40 women, and 20 others. And we should start with Awam Pakistan. We recommend that there should be the 35% membership of the party, and I would urge all the young women and girls in this room to join to make this successful. We also recommend that there should be 30% in the executive committee so that women's issues are taken care of. We do have successes. The first woman judge of the Supreme Court. We have district commissioners in all the provinces now, and also in Balochistan, which wasn't the case even 2 decades ago. We also have a woman general, a 3-star general. But there are lots of areas where women are still not adequately represented. We suggest there should be 25% quotas in all the bodies, including in the private sector. 1/4 representation of women is essential if we are to make progress. I think we will hear from the ladies who are from the trade union. Also give tax breaks to people who are, to entities who are willing to employ women, especially in senior levels. But women really cannot participate unless they feel safe at home and outside. According to some estimates, Pakistan does not fare very well when it comes to women going out of the house. There are over 100 laws that have been passed on violence against women and honor killings, rape, inheritance. And interestingly, the Islamabad Capital Territory law on violence against women has not been passed. There are also laws for the Child Marriage Restraint Act, except in Sindh, when now the eligible age for girls to marry is 18, the rest still are allowed, girls are allowed to marry at age 16. But are these laws working? The statistics and the news give a different picture. Crimes are committed with impunity, with only 3% conviction rate. 97% women do not inherit any land or property. There's violence in every third household. Girls are still being married below the age of 16. So what do we need to do? We need to update these laws. A lot of them are conflicting, a lot of them are duplicate. We need to have effective implementation. And the institutions that have been established on the basis of these laws, like the district women protection committees, like the district legal empowerment committees, are not functional. Other institutions like the Darul Amans, the women protection centers, the shelters, they're all over the place, and everybody is overlapping into getting into everybody else's roles. This needs to be sorted out. And also, women at the community level need to be made aware of their legal rights. There's a plethora of helplines for women, and they have to be consolidated. Women cannot access them because they're not toll-free. This is something that has to be addressed. Technology has to be used to create mobile safety apps for women, and it is being done. Even in India, this is being done. There should be online FRs. There should be gender-based violence courts which are mobile because women cannot get to courts. And there should be one-stop centers where women can go for protection, for medical advice, and for legal advice. The Thana culture we are all familiar with, and nobody wants to go there. So we do recommend there should be an increase in police stations only with women, and there should be at least 1/4 of women in each police station. Legal aid clinics should be established at the Union Council. The Pakistan Bar Council has mandated that free legal aid should be given, but it is not being practiced. As was said earlier, there cannot be any economic uplift if women are not included. Here we will talk only of education and health. And that since there are going to be separate papers on education and health, we will only talk of the broad contours and the broad targets. 80% coverage is what we are looking for. But in that, the Sehat card should only be for the vulnerable and the poor. Primary health care should be driven by quality and nothing else. And gradually increase the health budget, which is required. This is a very, very tall, I think it is more a wish list than a target or a goal, equitable access at all levels, but we need to start trying, at least in faculty. I was very pleased to hear from Madam Amara that in this university, there are 40% women, which is a great achievement. But we do recommend that 25% of heads of universities or vice chancellors and 40% in the faculty, and also head teachers for all other schools. One of the major issues that the girls drop out is distance. When there is distance from their homes, they either don't enroll or they drop out as parents fear for their mobility and their safety. So our suggestion is to have secondary school in second shifts and teach them virtually by women who are sitting at home, are qualified, and looking for things, hopefully, looking for something to do and to contribute. But one of the most important issues that we want to flag here is gender sensitizing of all teachers, because that is where the minds are made. And curricula which has gender-sensitive concerns and gender is relevant for gender. So now we've spoken of the statistics. We have identified some targets. And we know that the challenges are huge. We all know that. They're political, institutional, they're structural, systemic, and they're compounded by issues of accountability and awareness. But some of the most important are the socio-cultural, the retrogressive cultural practices and beliefs which keep women restricted. But Pakistan really has no choice. We have to keep moving forward. And the most important thing to keep us moving forward is the political will to do it. We have the laws, we have the institutions, but do we have the political will? And by political will, we mean that the members of the parliament should be a lot that is committed to change in women. It will be difficult, we understand, but unless that changes, we will not have the political will and we will not be able to move forward. The policies that are made also need to be tailored to regional variations and according to local context, whether it's rural or urban. The NCSW, the National Commission on the Status of Women, has to be made autonomous. And all the provincial commissions have to be made autonomous. Capacity building needs to be done. There is a huge issue of governance in all the institutions, whether they're women development departments, whether they're social welfare departments, or whether they're departments below that. There needs to be consolidation. There is a great deal of overlap, there is a great deal of duplication, and therefore a great deal of wastage of resources. One of the key things that we will need is to make evidence policies is to collate and compile data, collect and compile data which is gender disaggregated. Then only we can track key performance of these institutions and have a system which tells us where women stand at a certain point. One of the major issues is lack of awareness. Lack of awareness both amongst men and women, between the citizens and the government functionaries, because this lack of awareness of the magnitude and the nature of the status of women and the adverse implications that it may have on the country. Women are also not aware of their legal rights and where to go for protection. But the most important thing, and where a massive campaign is required, is a change in attitude. The notion that a woman is personal property and an object of control needs to change. Unless that changes, we do not hope to prosper. So today, while I stand here, it is important that we understand that every woman must stand up for herself. And to you, to the women in this room, and to the young girls, I say, please do stand up for yourself. And to the men in this room, to the young and not so young, I say, please stand by your women to stand up for themselves. Because if we don't do that, Pakistan will not prosper. It is the only country we have. So Pakistan, Zindabad.